John G. Jackson was born April 1, 1907 in Aiken, South Carolina. During his student days, he did researching and writing articles about Afro-American life. He wrote for Negro World in 1925 and was a regular contributor to The Truth Seeker between 1930 and 1955. In 1932, he became an associate director of the Blyden Society, then under the leadership of Dr. Willis N. Huggins. The most talented student to come out of the group was John Henry Clark. And if I might pause just a wee bit, when you say John Henry Clark, we sometimes should stop with silence to give recognition and acknowledgement, because Brother Clark is one who deserves such. In 1934, Brother Jackson co-authored with Dr. Huggins a guide to study of African history, and in 1937, also with Dr. Huggins, Introduction to African Civilizations, which they are in abundance over at the table there in the rear. Professor Jackson has taught and lectured in the Black Studies Department of Newark College of Arts and Sciences, 1971 to 1973. A visiting professor at the City University of New York, 1973 to 1977, and a visiting professor at Northeastern Illinois University from 1977 through 1980. That's located in Chicago, and I heard the brother before me speak about the community, and in that building we housed something of such activity back some time ago, headed by the late brother Bobby Wright, which many of you know about or heard of. Okay. In addition, he was a regular lecturer in the Ingersoll Forum from 1930 through 1955, and at the Harlem Unitarian Church. His two recent works, Introduction to African Civilization, 1970, and Man, God, and Civilization. Recently, he published, or authored that is, Christianity Before Christ, 1986. And the most recent thing, Black Reconstruction in South Carolina, Hubert Henry Harrison, the Black Socrates, and the Golden Ages of Africa. And the last publication is chapter 2 of a book in which the brother is now going to commence writing on in high gear with great deliberation for the next 6 or 7 months after leaving your fair city of Oakland. And the title of the book will be On a History of the World, which, as you might know, if I may indulge upon your intelligence, the book History of the World, as has been written all before, has never included Africa. And if you recall, John Henry Clark, Brother Jackson, and others, Queen Mother Moore, and several persons of the African community tried to argue with UNESCO of the United Nations to try and put Africa into history books. But somehow the brother's intelligence rose to the surface and to the occasion to say, why argue with someone if we know what we're doing and they know not what they're doing? We will commence to do just that. So the brother has commenced to do that, and I hope we will all give recognition and acknowledgement to such if this is be the case. So it's many, many experiences Brother Jackson and I have undergone, and we have enjoyed together. He's a very hard brother, but since he's from Arkansas, South Carolina, the Phosphate State, and I'm from Red Stick, Louisiana, the Bayou Country, I seem to sort of excel a little taste, maybe by age alone. But before I sit, Brother Ben Yosef Yakanan and John Henry Clark gave me an assignment, say, James, take care of John. So James and John, the sons of Zebedee, the disciples, I'm one of them, and he's the other one. And I just found out something about him. He's been a knighted bishop. I didn't know anything about that. So, but at any rate, without further ado and enjoying all of the accolades that you have laid before me, I'm going to bring up the elder, and I will let him go from there. Brother John G. Jackson.
Step over this, will you? Step up. There you go.
Now, since this is a church, I will address you as brothers and sisters. Now, I've got a lot of notes here, but I want to make just a short talk and let you people ask me some questions. I probably won't have answers to most of them, but if I know the answer, I'll give it to you. If I don't, I'll tell you that I don't know. But Cage brought up some of my misconduct in the past. In New York about 50 years ago, I was writing articles for a magazine called The Truth Seeker, and I was lecturing for an organization known as the Ingersoll Forum, named after a great American statesman, Colonel Robert G. Ingersoll. And the editor of The Truth Seeker was also the chairman of the Ingersoll Forum, a man named Charles Smith from Arkansas. So Smith says, "Jackson, would you like to be a bishop?" I says, "Don't joke." He says, "Well, there's a new church out, and I think it's out in Denver, Colorado. The Supreme Pontiff of the Liberal Church of America will appoint anybody a bishop that'll send him in a donation of $1. So I thought the whole thing was a joke. So I handed Charlie Smith $1. I says, "Okay, send in my application." And lo and behold, I got a document stating that I had been appointed a bishop of the Liberal Church of America, and that I could get liquid spirits at half price, travel at reduced fares on railroad trains, and perform marriage ceremonies. Well, I considered the whole thing a joke, and I said to Charlie Smith, "Where will I be bishop?" He says, "Well, you live in Harlem, you'll be the bishop of Harlem." So, of course, I treated it as a joke, but I lectured at places like the YMCA and the Unitarian Church, and the joke caught on, and the people were introducing me as Bishop Jackson. Now, back in 1938, I wrote a little pamphlet called Christianity Before Christ. And last year, I had rewritten this stuff and got it into a book, and now it's a book on Christianity Before Christ. The right title for that book should have been The African Origin of Christianity. But I realized that if I gave it that title, very few people would buy the book. Because a sad feature about black people today is that most of them are almost totally illiterate. They can't read anything anymore. Television have robbed them of what little literacy they had. So if I just called it Christianity Before Christ, in hopes that a few white intellectuals would read it. And it worked out all right. The book came out late in 1985. It's been out just a little over a year now, and I think the publisher sold over 1,000 copies, so that's not bad for a serious book. When I was teaching at the City University of New York, I was using two of my books as textbooks. Introduction to African Civilizations and Man, God, and Civilization. So one of my students came and said, "Professor Jackson, Is there any money in